guys, welcome to another time out with me on Alec GTV. My name is Alec Godwin and you're welcome to this epic episode. I'm really excited about today's topic, which is the Infinity War, and we're going to be breaking down A to Z as fast as I can. But before we go on to do that, why don't you go on and subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed. So now, moving on. It begins with the, sorry to say, death of Loki. All right. Now, what happens on this scene? Pretty much, Thanos attack their ship. Asgardians are killed. We see Idris Elba's character still alive. Thanos is talking to Loki, killing Thor or threatening to kill Thor so he could produce the Tesseract. And of course, Loki tried to pull the fast one, and said, kill away. I don't care. He's not my brother, And then Thanos starts to squeeze his head and he gives up and said, all right, I'll give it to you. And then he brings out the Tesseract. He puts another stunt. Loki, for one, I am not Asgardian. And for another, we have a Hulk. The same line Iron Man gives to him when he was attacking.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
And then immediately, the Hulk bombs in from nowhere and pounces on Thanos. Now, my first question is, where was Hulk all this while? Why they were killing the Asgardians? Why they already had Thor beaten and broken down and, tied up? Where was the Hulk? My question for the MCU. Hulk attacks. Thanos was shocked, unprepared, and he punches and punches. And check this out. This is what I'll make clear. This is how the Hulk punched. There was no fight technique. Thanos pretty much watched, dodged, punched, blocked, and gave him, all the skills from wrestling that we see. He did it on the Hulk. And he was in no time knocked out, flat. I should expect that the Hulk will go for some lessons, to fight, actually learn to fight, in the future. It was a nice twist anyway, and the Hulk was beaten almost to death. And Idris Elba asked from one time, well, his character, I've forgotten his name, the gatekeeper. So he did a last minute, whatever magic he had left, shot the Hulk through space straight up to Earth. And Thanos said that was a mistake, and that was the end of the gatekeeper. And next thing we go on to see Hulk shot in, right when Doctor Strange and his partner were having a discussion. The Hulk crashed into their stairway. And first thing he said was, Thanos is coming. The success of Thanos in this movie was a lot easier because they were not together. The entire Avengers team was in a team. Even to call Steve Rogers, his Stark is reluctant because he knows he messed up why they haven't been talking terms. And I like what Banner said. Thanos is coming, doesn't matter who you're talking with. So, but just then, as he agrees to make the call, the attacks comes, the earth is shaking, people are running all around, and they come out to see what's going on. And they come, every man makes at the beginning when he talking to the dead bodies, they're killing out the remaining souls out there. He's telling them, even in death, you are children of Thanos. You might think that you're dying for no reason. You are dying for a purpose. Same thing he comes to declare to Tony Stark and he's saying, Rejoice, my people, because your worthless lives are going to end meaningfully. You know, and Tony cut him off, was like, Ed is close to this kind of stuff, so which means you have to get out of here. They go on a very lovely fight. I mean, it's epic, man. I loved watching this part. Package 17. So obviously it was boxed. Something was prepared for Spider-Man. You know, being the father figure that he wants to be, being, you know, looking for a child. You know, for now, Spider-Man is the only kid Iron Man has. So he's looking out for him while he makes himself new costumes, new weaponry and all that, new gadget in his Iron Man suit. He also makes for Spider-Man, which is very fatherly, okay? And for the first time, he shoots it out to space to meet Spider-Man. And Spider-Man lets go, trusting that Iron Man has a plan to rescue him. He lets go. And the thing, and the item 17, which is a new suit for Spider-Man, comes and wraps him up and keeps him safe. And Spider-Man was like, woo! It feels like a new car in here. Vision and Scarlet, they're playing their love scene. Of course, now we know that they are in love and they're having an affair. And they have been missing for a while. They cut off their transpondent, communication with Iron Man and any of the Avengers because they wanted to have a quiet time. But unfortunately, their love session is interrupted while he was, you know, turned to a human. You know, at the moment when he was off guard, they get him from behind and they stick a sword through his heart. And that is where he transforms, of course, and changes to Vision proper. But the damage was on. That's why almost throughout the movie, Vision was next to useless. You know, he became weak. I'm sure he was suited up. The knife wouldn't have gone through. You know, every man needs love, so he's trying to get his fair share of love. So unfortunately, the spear goes through his heart and he barely could fight. So the girl fights a lot to save him. Of course, Vision fights a little bit, but not like, you know, Vision would have been able to do. You know, Vision is a very strong one. But right there, just before they try to finish up Vision, of course, the crook arrives because Banner had already made the call prior to this time when he had nothing else to do. That's all he could do because the Hulk said no. The Hulk refuses to come out and fight. I mean, you will find humor everywhere in this movie. Everywhere. Yeah, you know. And there's so much action, there's so much humor, there's so much love and care and concern. There's so much attachment, you know, so all through this movie. And of course, we see that with Thanos and Gamora, Star-Lord and Gamora. We see that with Spider-Man, Iron Man, Vision and Scarlet Witch. You know, so there's just so much relationship, love, brothers, love, Thor, and, you know, I think Thor went through a lot in this movie. Thor lost a lot. And generally, through his lifetime, and through all the movies, Thor's been losing. And, you know, you will see the emotion come out of him. Like, he was hurt, he was bruised. He was the most passionate to kill Thanos. But he already experienced Thanos' attack one time and knew he couldn't beat him without the Stormbreaker. So he had to go. That's why he called them morons when they said they were going to fight Thanos and meet him at no. I must say at this point, when you saw that scene...
Let's talk about this plan of yours. I think it's good, except it sucks. So let me do the plan, and that way it might be really good. Wow.
Actually, I give it to Star-Lord. He knew better what his people could do, you know, so he probably had more input in the plan. We have Doctor Strange doing his incantations and everybody was like, hey, what's going on with you? And it was like, I'm I just went through time to search for the possible outcome. And Star-Lord was like, how many outcomes did you see? He said, 14,605,000 outcomes. And Tony Stark, Iron Man, was like, how many did we win? 1. Well, if you ask me, that's good news. We see Captain America in Wakanda arriving, and and that's where they pull up that scene where Okoye was talking to T'Challa.
When you said we were going to open Wakanda to the rest of the world, this is not what I imagined.
What did you imagine?
The Olympics, maybe even a Starbucks.
Very hilarious moment. Another was
Should we bow?
Yeah, he's a king.
Seems like I'm always thanking you for something.
What are you doing? We don't do that here.
We don't do that here. Oh my God, what a setup. Soon enough, before they settle in, attacks comes to Wakanda, and they throw a big one on Wakanda, and of course it's blocked up by the technology. Bucky says, I love this place. They walk over to the borderline and talks with Thanos' crew. Black Widow talks to the lady and was like, where's your friend? And then she lied. She lied for a reason. She said, you will pay for his life. And then at that moment, everyone thought he died, not knowing they had a plan. And then Black Panther brags about Wakanda. He said, right after she says, Thanos will get the stone, whether you like it or not. And then T'Challa was like, you are in Wakanda now, and Thanos will get nothing but dust and blood. Funny, he said dust. And then she said, well, we have a lot of blood to spare. Even though they were dying, they were forcing their way through, coming even half alive with their head, and then some of them starts coming in alive, and they started circling around. Of course, they had to keep them in their front so they don't go around and go get to Vision. And so T'Challa says, on my signal, open a section. And then it's funny again, T'Challa opens section 17. Remember, Iron Man goes for section 17 to get Spider-Man his new armor. Could just be a coincidence, but I don't know what's going on with 17 in their head. Alright? I mean the producers now. On my signal, open section 17. Our guy said, this could be the end of Wakanda. And Okoye was like, then it will be the noblest ending. They all run Wakanda forever. It's also very, interesting how we see how Black Panther, splits, leaves the others behind. Of course, Captain America, the same way in Civil War, we saw them display ability to run in Civil War, so the same way they run again and ahead of everybody, and they are the first to make contact with the creatures, and they start fighting. We see Thor come to Wakanda, and he's rescuing everybody that was overwhelmed, overpowered by the creatures. We see him land with Rocket on his shoulder and Groot on the side, which was another epic moment. Now Rocket unites with Bucky, and when the creatures were attacking, Winter Soldier picks up Rocket, and they keep shooting because, of course, they both like guns. And when they finish killing the creatures that was immediately around them, Rocket goes, how much for the gun? He was like looking down on him, the gun is not for sale. And next he said, how much for the arm? He was speechless, he just walked away like, and then Rocket, I predicted Rocket was going to do, if Rocket gets to Wakanda, Rocket was going to do something silly, and here he is. I had thought he would be stealing some vibranium, but now he's after Bucky's arm, and it was like, Oh, I will get that. We've seen in previous Guardians of the Galaxy, when he said he will get something, he will get it. You see, the whole thing is that Marvel, they're just putting you in a tight corner, so you have to watch all these movies. And you need to watch all these movies. They are all good movies, actually. You know, try to watch all the movies. You know, you don't have to watch it in the cinema. They are all out in DVDs right now. So watch and connect and go back and watch the Infinity War again. You understand things better. Thor arrives Wakanda. As soon as he does all the display, he goes running after the Thanos' crew. It's like, give me Thanos! And here's the trick that they played on. They brought a big rig, like a grinding wheel. Scarlet Witch had to jump out. She knew hardly anybody could stop that thing from rolling. So Scarlet Witch comes in and jumps in and then stops the stuff. Thanos' girl, I think she's now second in command since Ebony Maw is dead. Now she's now speaking as the spokesman. She's like, all right, she rages the guy. She's on the field. Go and get Vision now. Go get the stone. And then we see the guy that she lied about was dead. That guy attacks Sherry while she was busy doing, trying to remove the stone. And, you know, Sherry quickly shuts the whole thing off and takes her weapons and tries to fight. Vision saved Sherry from being killed, and the stone from being taken from his head. And then pounced, and then they jumped out of the building down into the bushes. Falcon saw that and it was like, we have a Vision situation. Let's talk about the fight in Titan. Thanos shows up at Titan. This was the most attempt to stop Thanos. The fight here was off the chains. Like, I saw Iron Man at his best. His own new armory was very effective. He fought and fought. Doctor Strange showed all his skills. So creative. They had a plan to keep Thanos' hand from, you know, using that glove to take it out. Now, Thanos appears in Wakanda, and it was such a very, very lovely way he appeared. And I could see fear in the Avengers when they saw him behind the rock when he appeared. His statue, his figure, it was like, you know, awesome, but terrifying. And Bruce goes, that's him, that's Thanos, that's him. For the first time, Captain America sees him and was like, okay guys, stay sharp, all right? And he attacks, and they barely get to him. He didn't want to waste time. He just didn't want to use physical strength. He was just using the power of the gloves and giving them, you know, super strikes from the gloves and knocking them off. Black Panther, everybody, he was already too strong for them. You know, I think the fight against Thanos was actually fixed for Titan with Iron Man and crew. That was the fight. Here in Wakanda, he was coming to take what he was coming to take. The only challenge that he could get was from Scarlet Witch. Captain America comes back again to hold on to his gloves. All he was trying to do, for those who were reading big meanings to it, he was just trying to kill time. Hit him with the other hand, and he fell flat to the ground, and it was all left for Scarlet Witch to save the day. Scarlet Witch did save the day, and Thanos was like, I understand, my child. Still not so pissed off. You know, at this point, you know, your mind in the cinema will probably not be thinking about what next. I understand, my child, you. And she was like, you have no idea. He was like, you have no idea. But now it's not the time to talk. Now it's not the time to mourn. There is no time at all. He walks past her, goes to the point where Vision was killed, and then here we go. Does the time, takes time back, and gets Vision, pops his head open and takes the stone, and of course Vision falls dead. Just like that. And then as soon as he puts the final all six in his gloves, just then as he was feeling the heat of the power, thunder strikes, and of course it was Thor striking him with thunder, and which of course was very impactful because it sent Thanos falling over, and Thanos gets up, strikes back with his gloves, and Thor throws the Stormbreaker at him, and the Stormbreaker comes against to show how powerful that Stormbreaker was, you know. And I think generally how powerful Thor has become, because I expect Thor to be a lot stronger now, you know, going through all he had to. You know, there's something his father said, when you become worthy, you will get more power. He said that before he could even lift his first hammer. All right, now Thor goes to pay even a greater price, putting his life completely at stake just to get even. Just not to get even, but with the passion of doing good and saving the world. He succeeds in fighting the force, or overcoming the force of a dying star, and then he comes back with the hammer. Come on, the hammer cuts through the laser beam right into the heart of Thanos, and Thor was like, I told you you would die. Thanos is a little bit of a trickster too, though, you know, but he said, you should have gone for the head. And then at that moment, he makes the finger, and everything goes to... There was silence, and for a moment, he's in a trance where he sees Gamora as a baby, and she was sober and was like, did you do it? Thanos was like, yes. She was like, what did it cost? Thanos was like, everything. Back to the scene, we see his finger of the gauntlet was already crushed, which is a good thing for next season, I think. It looks like it was crushed and burnt. And Thor was like, what did you do? And Thanos was like, you know, he was surprised too, even though he knew what he did. It was almost like, this thing might not work in a minute, it might not work, so let me get out of here. So he used it and disappeared, and of course the Stormbreaker fell off, and Thanos went and sat, just like a scene from the Marvel comics. He sat up in the mountains looking at the stars or the sky, and he smiled like, job well done. You know, it feel like it was time for him to rest. You know, and then people start to fade and disappear. Oh. First on the list was Bucky. He just fell and left the gun. Probably Rocket would steal that gun anyway after all. Randomly, like he said, rich, poor, no selections. It's just like nature making choices. They just took out people. Black Panther. Oh, what's doing? I remember everybody screamed in the cinema. Like, everybody was like, no way. You know, some people see this as, okay, this is guys, Black Panther is, it's a sold out movie. One of the best selling of the MCU right now. And you know, no way they won't get rid of their money like that. They ain't going to get rid. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be so kind of his death kind of makes some people relax. Like, no, it can't be that bad. But it hurts still. How can they put us in this situation? Because that's how he ended. Just for those of you who are heartbroken, good thing, help is on the way. Of course, at the end credit, we see Captain Marvel being activated by Samuel L. Jackson. So that's how it ended. The actual movie ended with defeat on the Avengers, so to speak.